No, sign the contract.
Oscar's your daddy.
Yeah.
Oscar's your
I'm
daddy.
your daddy. I'm
yeah,
your daddy.
Oscar's your daddy.
And I'm
bitch ass.
Let's
Bitch ass. Pull it up in your little rental.
What's your shit?
Yeah, let's get it then.
Right here.
Yeah.
I'll beat your ass right here.
Yo, I'm gonna call Javante Davis.
Talk enough trash and you might end up with your worst nightmare staring you right in the face. Ryan Garcia and Jake Paul are two guys who know all about that kind of thing. Here are the top 10 moments where fighters got well and truly humbled. Number 10. Ryan Garcia versus Javante Davis.
Okay, so when you get hit with the right hand, then what?
The right hand.
You okay, we're gonna see.
When Garcia took on Tank Davis, despite being praised for jumping on such an elite fight so early in his career, this brash young fighter was clearly biting off way more than he could chew. Sure, King Rai has talent, and we all certainly know about his star potential, but throughout the build-up to this fight, you could tell that Tank was the guy in control of the power dynamic. On fight night, Davis was simply better. He couldn't bulldoze his way through Garcia like some people expected, but when he found his moments, they were the biggest of the fight. And after crushing Garcia's midsection with a body shot, Ryan's resolve broke instantly in that moment, and he crumbled to the mat, unable to continue.
With his 27th knockout, Ryan Garcia. Wow. Mamma mia!
Number 9. Prince Naseem Hamed versus Marco Antonio Barrera. Back in the 1990s, there might not have been a more exuberant showman than Prince Naseem Hamed. His cobra-like counterpunching style was built on his insane hand speed and reflexes. But during the final years of his career, he wasn't competing as regularly as he should have been, and he wasn't taking on the type of opponent that a fighter in his position should. Enter Marco Antonio Barrera, the first truly tough, intelligent, and elite fighter that he faced.
Barrera fighting an intelligent, measured fighter.
And on fight night, Barrera was not a sitting duck. He did not get overwhelmed or bewildered by Naseem's bizarre fighting style. No, he marched the Englishman down, making the fight gritty and showing no fear in the face of Prince Naseem's movement and speed. And by the end of the 12 rounds, Hamed had been dragged through hell, and his confidence in his own ability was seemingly shattered from there onwards.
Big left hook by Barrera. Turned into an hour of torture.
Number 8. Amir Khan versus Phil Greco.
Wait a minute. Oh, guys, this is not Pakistan versus India. It's not a cricket match. Please.
On the long list of highly annoying fighters who've made their way into the combat sports world, the unique brand of annoying behavior displayed by Phil Greco is truly on another level. Amir Khan was forced to listen to this imbecile talking trash in his ear throughout the entire build-up, and Greco knew that this was his one true chance at superstardom, and so he tried to play the ultimate heel.
Have your leftovers?
But on fight night, you could just tell that Khan was relishing the prospect of putting hands on this man, and he didn't wait around to gauge his opponent's timing when the bell rang. No, Amir went out there and blasted through Greco within the opening minute, flooring him in an early exchange before finishing off the job before 60 seconds had even passed. Number 7. Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather.
As far as Floyd, whatever, he's a small man.
His little legs, his little core, his little head. I'm gonna knock him out inside 4 rounds, mark my words.
In 2017, Conor McGregor was truly on top of the world, having won 2 UFC titles and establishing himself as the biggest star the UFC had ever known. He was so famous, in fact, that he was granted the opportunity to dip into the world of boxing, setting up a fight with the retired Floyd Mayweather, a marquee matchup that promised to bring both sports to a level of spectacle we hadn't seen in years.
This is my first time in a boxing ring. And in 6 weeks, I run boxing. Boom.
On fight night, McGregor did decently well in spots, mainly because Floyd was sitting back. But overall, you gotta give credit to Conor where it's due. However, in the middle rounds, his stamina started to fail, and fail him hard. That's when Mayweather began to step on the gas, and before long he was pummeling the two-weight UFC champion on his way to an easy 10th round TKO.
Floyd Mayweather has McGregor on the run. A sharp left hook, another hook, and it's over. Byrne has stopped the fight, but what a night it has been here in Las Vegas!
Number 6. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 2.
I've always had to fight bigger guys, bigger than I. You know, that's just only going to slow him down.
I brought you to big time boxing.
Tyson,
I give you your biggest paydays
banana peel
you've ever had.
I'm talking big woman.
Deontay Wilder may have been dominated for the vast majority of this first clash with Tyson Fury, but the fact that he was able to drop the Gypsy King the way he did proved to him that he could win in the rematch. So coming into fight number 2, he was as cocky as can be, putting so much emphasis on his own power while laughing off Tyson's own KO ability. Wilder had scored a KO against every man he's ever beaten up to that point, so why should he fear a fighter who didn't have the power to trouble him?
So I'm looking forward to the rematch. We know that when I talk and say things actually happen. At the point in time, he won't be able to get up.
So with KO, Tyson was crowned the champion of the world, and we never truly got to see Wilder's confidence fully return.
It's over!
Number 5. James Gallagher versus Ricky Bandejas.
Say, oh, you're just being cocky and you're being this here. No, I'm fighting for a world title soon.
See, after me, I'm coming for that belt and I'm taking it. I'm going to whip this fella on Friday night and then I'm going straight for that fucking belt.
Nobody likes a wannabe. So if you're going to try to copy and mimic the style of the most recognizable man in the sport, you better be able to fight well. James Gallagher had grown up as a teenager in the same gym as Conor McGregor, so you gotta cut him some slack. But his ego was truly peaking in the lead-up to his fight with Ricky Bandejas, to the point where no one outside of his team, anyway, was rooting for him by fight night.
James, the Venom
Thankfully, Bandejas was perfectly equipped to totally embarrass Gallagher, catching him with a big punch that rocked him early, before following it up with a side kick to the face that further proved just how bad Gallagher's striking defense was. It was an ugly finish.
That right hand, you see it land and it lands solid. There's rocked. Bandejas looking for the finish. It is all over. Ricky Bandejas.
Number 4. Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier the first.
Some people say you better watch Joe Frazier. He's awful strong. I said tell him to try band roll on.
Look, we all love Muhammad Ali, who doesn't? But to say that he took his trash talking of Joe Frazier a little further than usual would be an understatement.
Joe Frazier's so ugly, his face should be donated to the Barrera.
After completing his ban from the sport due to his anti-war stance, Ali returned and had to work his way into a title shot with the newly crowned champion in his absence, Smokin' Joe Frazier. And boy, did Ali make an enemy out of him quickly. At this time, Ali had never lost a fight in his career. But on fight night, Frazier proved that he was a true great of the division, walking Ali down using a highly aggressive but also highly skilled approach to brawling to eventually break the former champ's resolve in the later rounds. And when he knocked Ali to the ground, that signature leaping hook, it was a shot that hurt Muhammad Ali's ego far more than it hurt his chin. Number 3. Roy Jones Jr. versus Glenn Johnson.
I don't want to get caught with a shot that you don't see coming, but I saw it this time coming. I knew it was going to happen, so there's nothing I really could do about it.
By the time Roy Jones Jr. fought Glenn Johnson, he'd indeed already lost and been KO'd by Antonio Tarver.
Able to get a sustained attack against him.
And down goes Jones, and he makes it up.
But if you're looking for the moment that truly signified to the world that Jones was officially past his prime, look no further than the Glenn Johnson fight. Because for as insanely good and confident as Jones was in his prime, losing to a guy like Johnson was the final nail in his coffin. And it wasn't just the loss that showed it. It was also the underwhelming performance that led up to it. Jones just wasn't firing with the same level of confidence that he'd shown before. And when Johnson eventually laid him out on the canvas for the world to see, it was obvious that an era had officially come to its end. Sure, he hung around the fight game for years and years after, but the Johnson fight signaled to us that he was no longer on the same level as he once was.
Before he fed it was okay. Well, he turned it up against
He takes a right hand and a left hand.
Number 2, Badr Hari versus Peter Graham.
Let me tell you something. I see your tape, I see you fighting. You look like an amateur.
Look, Badr Hari is a legend of the fight game who deserves the utmost respect. But when he was a younger fighter, he well and truly made himself look like the biggest douchebag on the planet. With the way he conducted himself in the build-up to his fight with Peter Graham. Seriously, even though he was only 22 at the time, he deserved to get a slice of humble pie. And thankfully, the veteran Graham was about to make a point of embarrassing this brash young fighter, bringing all of his experience to the forefront, catching Hari with an insane knockout, one of the flashiest displays of kickboxing brilliance that you're ever gonna see. Sure, Hari continued to be cocky from time to time, but this bruised his ego. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Number 1, Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas.
Find it, but I knew that he was breaking down soon.
You're saying that Biggs was crying when you hit him?
Yes.
Back in the 1980s, Mike Tyson was truly hitting a different level of superstardom, seen as the unbeatable heavyweight champ who was nearly as terrifying outside of the ring as he was in it. So when he signed on the dotted line to take on James Buster Douglas, there was no reason for Iron Mike to be afraid. In fact, he was so confident, he partied throughout his camp, and his team and Cutman didn't even bring proper supplies with them to the ring.
Mike Tyson doesn't really care about this ceremony in which a Japanese official wants to hand him.
Douglas wasn't going to be denied on this night, though. He recently lost his mother and used that motivation to catch Tyson totally off guard, shocking him with a far more violent and effective performance than anyone thought possible. Eventually, the cocky and underprepared Tyson was KO'd, causing his unbeaten aura to vanish in an instant.
The shot that will finish things in.
Oh, the uppercut.
What an uppercut by Douglas.